If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. And only like the video if you actually did like it. Manny Pacquiao, 42 years of age, WBA welterweight champion. We're waiting for his next fight. Could be his last fight. And the great man from the Philippines seems to have an appetite to want to go for the big fish. We could very well get either Terence Crawford or Errol Spence for his next fight. We've heard the latter name mentioned, of course, because he fought recently, looked very good against Danny Garcia. And if I were in Pacquiao's corner, I would say Spence is probably the better option. Stylistically, probably a bit easier to deal with. I think Crawford, with his speed of both hand and foot, the way he sets traps, he's a real intuitive counterpuncher. I think that's a bad style for Pacquiao. Certainly this slower version. Even though I say slower, the way Pacquiao has sustained at world level is unbelievable. It's like a plane you thought was going to nosedive and then it just found an altitude and he's just kept going along like that. And you've got to rack your brains, how has he lasted so long? Because it's just not a miracle of God. And I was thinking about it, and I think a lot of it has to do with that technical tweaking he had by Freddie Roach during the Eric Morales saga. When he wasn't just given a right hook, but his balance improved, and he picked his moments and used his defense in between a bit more. Whereas in his early 20s, he was very left-hand happy and just went all-out war on you. Had he have just stuck to that style or not evolved, I don't think he would have lasted as long. But if you watch him even against Miguel Cotto, which is one of his best ever performances, it's ferocious, but he's picking his moments. And he is mindful of his defense in that performance. He kind of went from all-out war to more of a polished semi-automatic. And he still has speed, and I think that would be a key in possibly just starting to befuddle Spence a little bit. He would definitely give him something to think about. He's not just a champion and the third best welterweight in the world right now for no reason. The real problem against someone like an Errol Spence, though, who is stylistically more basic than Terence Crawford, but he's so physically strong. And as basic as he seems, he's very good at what he does. He's efficient. He keeps the jab in your face. He pushes you back. He would physically ask a lot of Manny Pacquiao at this stage in his career. He would make him tired. He would push him back. And unless Pacquiao could swell up that face or get a few knockdowns or really hurt him, in 12 rounds, I don't see how this older Pacquiao would keep Spence off him. I would love to be wrong. And I do think the speed and the angles he's able to generate still, those quick bursts, he might not be able to sustain it like he used to 10 years ago, but he's still very tricky. He would definitely give Spence something to think about. But in 36 minutes, the way Spence goes to work, who's probably going to look a little bit better next time after he's shaken off more rust. Physically, it's such a big ask of Pacquiao, because the one thing Pacquiao never really had much, even during his prime, was physical strength. He wasn't a push you back kind of guy. He relied on moving and zapping you. But this isn't that older Pacquiao, and he's not dancing around a David Diaz. He is against a guy with one of the best jabs in the business, physically strong, and will make you work for 3 minutes a round. I would love to see it next. I think it's the better option of the two. If Pacquiao won, you were looking at, I don't know, unbelievable greatness if he somehow won that one. I would love to see the fight if it were to happen, say spring next year. How do you see it going?